Hello and welcome. You're watching The Buck Stops Here and I'm Barkhada. The big story this evening. Kanhaiya Kumar, the JNU student leader, was at Hyderabad today. As you can see there in those pictures, he went on a day when the country was remembering Shaheed Bhagat Singh and the other martyrs on Martyrs' Day, invoking Bhagat Singh, describing himself to be a mere soldier of Bhagat Singh and saying he was really there for Rohith, the Dalit student who was driven to suicide at Hyderabad's Central University. Kanhaiya's visit, of course, comes after scores of students at the Central University were arrested. They are alleging, of course, being beaten mercilessly by the police. The Vice Chancellor of Hyderabad Central University has responded by saying it was his office that was vandalized. The students are saying that internet is down, the messes have been shut down and one student is critically injured. On the program today, we look at why universities are increasingly becoming the focal point for political battles. JNU, Hyderabad, even Pune's Ferguson College all find itself locked in one controversy after the other. On our program today, as Kanhaiya says, lathis cannot silence us. Remember, he was denied permission to enter the Hyderabad University. We ask whether university politics are going national and whether Kanhaiya and Rohith are in fact new icons for a student generation. Let's introduce Firdaus Soni. Firdaus is, of course, Rohith Vemula's friend, and let's start straight away with her before we introduce our political guest tonight. Firdaus, what can you tell us about the situation on the campus? Kanhaiya was not allowed in, but he did make a speech right outside the gates. What is happening on campus right now?
While Kanhaiya did come to the campus, it is more important to look at what has been going on since Professor Appa Rao decides to enter the university. Professor Appa Rao's entry into the university itself is a very conspicuous thing. It looks like a conspiracy, reeks of a plot where he just confides in few faculty, few ABVP students. There was a document that came to light which said tasks. Tasks for Appa Rao, tasks for ABVP students, tasks for like-minded faculty members, and students were called one night before to the Gachibowli stadium, which is outside the university, to plan how to get Professor Appa Rao inside the campus. If he was resuming office as the Vice Chancellor of the university, what is the need to plot so much? And the ABVP students of certain departments like life sciences were invited. Even the in charge we see, Professor Periyaswamy, did not know that Professor Appa Rao is going to resume office. So these students were inside the Vice Chancellor's lodge in the morning. Later, when the students came to know that Professor Appa Rao has entered the university, which is a violation according to us of the ongoing inquiry, of an ongoing judicial inquiry, we decided to protest. But so what I'm trying to say is that yes, Kanhaiya did come to campus to show solidarity for Rohith's struggle, but you also need to highlight what happened yesterday where so many students were brutally beaten up. The agenda of the police was to vacate us from the compound of the VC's lodge. They pushed us out, they pulled us out, they bet us out, and after exiting from the back gate of the compound, like they shoved us out from the back gate of the compound of the VC's lodge into the jungle, and then there they started lathi charging the students, they started stone pelting the students. There were 4 women constables. None of the women constables had a lathi with them, but so many women got lathi charged by the male police. I got lathi charged, my friends got slapped and lathi charged. Lathis were shoved onto their chests and we were pushed back. So we would request the media to please highlight what happened in the university yesterday. Today there were more than 400 to 500 police surrounding our campus, surrounding the the Velivada, which was set up by the students. There was an atmosphere of terror. The messes have been shut down, drinking water is not available, the internet is shut down to cut us out from the media so that we cannot report what is going on. And when the students were cooking in the open, there was a community cooking that was going on. The student who was engaged in the cooking was taken aside by the police and beaten up brutally. So the person you mentioned in your introduction, he was cooking because the messes were shut down, and he was beat up, and now he is hospitalized. So what does this mean? Yes, you discuss about how campuses
but let me interrupt you there. Let me interrupt you there. You've given a long account. Firdaus, let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you there. Let me interrupt you there. You have given a long account of how the students were assaulted by the police and the role of the Vice Chancellor. But the Vice Chancellor has also turned around and said that students of a certain ideological bent have brought shame to the university. He's also referred to the shots of the vandalism that took place, how he was ghered out for 6 hours. How do you respond to that, Firdaus, before I open up this debate, waiting also for Sambit Patra of the BJP to join us?
I want to ask, what is this reputation of the university? Is it greater than the lives of the students? Is it greater than the right to fellowships?
Totally wrong, Barka.
Is it greater than the rights to a democratic dialogue?
What about the charge of vandalism? What about the charge of vandalism?
The ABVP students were invited by the Vice Chancellor into the lodge. What is the guarantee that they are not the ones who have plotted and done the vandalism, and why certain people are being accused? Why was Professor Appa Rao hidden and gotten into the university? Why was he having a secret meeting? Why was he having a meeting inside the VC's lodge? When the judicial inquiry is going on, why does he have to
let me bring in other guests now.
I just want to mention one small point. I'm really sorry. I want to mention one very important point.
Yeah.
Professor Appa Rao has earlier been involved in suppressing a very important document in the case related to Rohith's suicide, which is the affidavit of Commissioner C.V. Anand, where he said that the accusations of Sushil Kumar, the ABVP president, are false. There has never been a physical violence. That affidavit, which was submitted to the High Court on 3rd of October, and the suspension order came on the 17th of October, was suppressed by Professor Appa Rao when he was the VC. Now that if he comes and assumes the office, what is the guarantee that he will not fabricate
let me bring in Firdaus, you've had a long say now. Firdaus, I've asked other people to speak. Let me introduce our other guests. We've got K. Kavita, Member of Parliament with the TRS, with us. We've got Madhu Yoski, who's with the Congress from Telangana, also with us. Mohandas Pai, the Chairman of the Manipal Global Education, with us. And I'm really waiting for Sambit Patra to be brought on to the show. Mohandas Pai, go ahead. What do you see today? What is the lesson you take away from it? Do you think it's paranoid to not allow Kanhaiya Kumar on the campus? Do you believe universities should be closing down messes, shutting down Wi-Fis? Do you believe that the police is needed? We believe that 100 private policemen were actually deployed by the Vice Chancellor today.
Barka, the students are behaving very badly. They have vandalized the university. They garroted the Vice Chancellor. Violence in the campus by anybody is unacceptable. If there's a violence, you have to call in the police to keep everybody out. And who is Kanhaiya Kumar to come there and to instigate all these people? He's an extreme leftist and anarchist. Is coming there. And if there's a fear of violence, the university has every right.
Kanhaiya Kumar
the
was
students
not there
should not
yesterday.
resort to violence.
Mr. Pai,
please
Mr.
let me
Pai,
finish.
Kanhaiya
Please
Kumar
let me
was not there
finish.
yesterday.
Please don't interrupt. Please don't interrupt me, okay?
You are misquoting.
Barka,
Mr.
violence
Pai,
cannot.
I have respect
Please
for you,
keep
but
quiet.
Kanhaiya Kumar was not
Please
there
keep
yesterday.
quiet. Please keep quiet. I didn't ask you. Please keep
But
quiet.
if you're
Barka,
speaking
see,
lies,
this is the
what
way
can I
they
do,
tell
Mr. Pai?
lies.
Okay,
And
Madhu,
they should not.
Madhu, you'll have your turn.
You are speaking the lies.
Madhu, you'll have your turn.
Madhu,
Mohandas
please
Pai,
keep
make
quiet.
your point. Make your point. Mohandas Pai, make your point.
Barka, students have created violence. If they protest peacefully, everybody in this country will support them. Garrowing a Vice Chancellor, even if you don't like him, vandalizing the place, now telling lies and saying, what is the guarantee somebody did not do it? Because there's very clear evidence of what has happened. You've seen all kind of people come there. I think the university is perfectly justified. The students should behave with restraint. They should be non-violent. They can protest and do whatever they want. Is democratic. But violence cannot be condoned by anybody, whether it is the university or anybody else. And the university has the right to call the police.
But what about the violence or the excesses, Mr. Pai? You're absolutely right. Vandalism should not be tolerated. But what about the vandalism? What about the excesses of the police? You know, we've seen those shots. We need to actually change to those shots. Can we change to the shots, Mohandas Pai? I want you to see those shots. We've seen the vandalism shots. Now let's bring up the pictures of where we can actually see the students being beaten, lathi charged by the police. Mohandas Pai.
Barka, police brutality is a fact in India. We have seen it in the case of Nirbhaya, how ordinary people are beaten up with lathis. We must restrain the police. Police must be taught to behave more properly. You cannot treat unarmed demonstrators in the way they did, dragging them by the hair, kicking them, beating them. This is unacceptable in civil society. It happened in Delhi in Nirbhaya. It happened in every demonstration. That's a separate issue, but I am strongly against police brutality. The student vandalism cannot justify police brutality, nor the police brutality justifies student vandalism. I think all over the country, police are very brutal when it comes to unarmed democratic disturbing agitations by anybody, and that we should condemn them and stop that. But you know, one is not dependent upon the other. They're two disparate things, and both should be condemnable.
Now, I want to bring in Sambit Patra. Unfortunately, we're having a technical problem getting through to him. We need him on the phone. We need to dial in the BJP perspective right now. But let's just, I'll allow Firdaus a quick interjection there, and then I want to go to K. Kavita. Yes.
I want to first of all ask, on whose orders does the police act? And secondly, why did the police today beat up a student who was cooking food when our messes have been shut down? Do they want us to be hungry?
Irrelevant.
Do they want us to be without drinking water? It is not irrelevant, sir.
That's totally
These
irrelevant,
are things
Barka.
happening upon orders. Does the police just... What are the lies, sir? You look at the video evidences.
Total
you look at
lies
the
you're
photograph
spreading
evidences.
that some ABB
Barka,
people
I want
came
to
and they
ask
vandalized.
you,
You
why
people
are your
vandalized the
reporters
whole
not being
university,
allowed
please.
inside?
There's evidence to
Barka,
that.
I want to
Don't come
ask
to
you,
TV,
why are your
national
reporters
TV
not
and
being
tell
Why is
allowed
interrupting?
inside?
Why is
Barka, we
interrupting?
are sitting outside
ask
the
him to
main
keep
gate
safe.
right now. Why are your reporters not being allowed inside? Please tell me, if there is nothing to hide by the university, if we are lying,
okay, let me bring in Sambit Patra. Let me bring in Kavita and Sambit Patra.
For
Firdaus, you've had your say. Sambit, I'm sorry we're coming to you so late. I've been trying to connect to you for a long time. Okay, now I'm told we don't have him again. So, Kavita, let me bring you in. How do you see what's happened? Law and order is primarily the state government's responsibility. How do you see what's happened today? Do you agree with the decision of the university to not allow Kanhaiya Kumar inside the campus?
Barka, we need to just look at the root cause. When the Vice Chancellor wanted to take the charge again, he should have at least informed the police that he is taking the charge, because there is a judicial inquiry on and we are not sure if the same Vice Chancellor was going to continue or not. And given to the sensitivity of the situation, it would have been nice, and the police or the student or the repercussions that we see right now wouldn't have happened. Because you should really give credit to the Telangana police who had handled the case so well during Rohith's suicide. We were very patient as long as the students were agitating without resorting to any violence. We let them do it for days together. We never interrupted, because see, we are from a movement background. We do not intend to crush the students' agitations. As long as there is a peaceful protest, we do not want to interfere. Yesterday's Vice Chancellor issue also, 4 to 6 hours, police were very patient, waiting for the students, requested the students to leave. When they resorted to violence, there was a reaction from the police side as well. Yes, I agree, maybe there is a little excess of the police action, but the root cause is, if the Vice Chancellor was taking position again, he should have just informed the police, local police, saying ki I am again taking charge, given to the sensitivity of the situation. And what kind of message is central government trying to send is what I don't understand. If they want to continue the same Vice Chancellor, even though there is a judicial probe on, I do not feel it is morally correct. And this is a time when they have their exams right now. Within 10-20 days, the whole of the campus will have exams. Do we need this kind of tense situation on the campus at this point of time?
But who do you
and the
blame
moment
for
the
that?
VC takes
Who
charge,
do you
he
blame
shuts
for
down all
that?
the messes.
Who do you blame
Where
for
are
that,
the students
Kavita?
going to go?
Who do you blame for that
Definitely the
tense
Vice
situation?
Chancellor and the central government. Definitely the central government. How does the Vice Chancellor suddenly come and take charge? There must be a nod from the
Let me
higher
get
ups.
Mohandas Pai
If
there
is
as
a
I'm
nod
waiting
from
for
the higher
Sambit
ups, I'm
Patra to be
simply asking
dialed
one
in.
question, Barka.
Okay.
When a judicial question is on,
Yeah. You're saying why was the
Yeah.
Vice Chancellor brought in at this time? Is that the
when
position
the
you're
judicial
taking,
inquiry
Kavita?
is on, how can yeah, let the students finish the exams and then he can take charge or whatever.
Mohandas Pai, do you agree with that assessment at least, that there was no need to bring back the Vice Chancellor Apparao at this point, when a number of students were blaming him for showing brazen insensitivity to Rohith? As we speak, Rohith's mother has in fact again begun a hunger strike and demanding justice for her son. So was it appropriate to bring back the Vice Chancellor at this point?
Barka, let us not mix issues, Barka. The key issue is that there has been violence and vandalism by the students in the campus, which is unacceptable. They have every right to agitate peacefully. If there's somebody who wants the vice chancellor to come, that's perfectly all right. I mean, it is the duty of the university. That's a different issue. You can agitate against that too. Please agitate against that. Please say this is totally wrong. But why bring in violence? I am against violence in the university. I'm against outsiders coming in and instigating the students to become violent and to display violence. Violence cannot be accepted. Let them have a peaceful protest. Let them protest for the next 2 years. It doesn't matter. Let the matter go to court. It doesn't matter. Go to court and file a plaint and ask the question, why did the vice chancellor come back? Who ordered? That's a separate matter. Let us not mix up issues. Everybody is mixing up issues and justifying the violence. Violence, whether by the police or the student, cannot be condoned, cannot be accepted in a civilized society. And let us draw a clear line. You cannot make heroes of students who are violent, who behave in a very inappropriate manner, and who go against the law. Let us be clear. You can agitate. That are two different things. It's not about freedom of expression.
Okay, I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to take a quick break at this point.
Can I please respond to that?
No, I just need to take a break. We need to get the BJP perspective in. So I am going to take a break. We will have to take a break at this point. We have heard from all the parties. We haven't heard from the Congress and the BJP yet. We will be coming back in a moment from now as we try. Apologies to Sambit Patra. Technical problems. They're getting his OB line up. Back in a moment from now. You're watching the buck stops here. Kanhaiya Kumar was at Hyderabad Central University today. We are returning to our panel. We had a technical problem getting our lines up today, but let's go straight across to Sambit Patra, who's been waiting patiently. Sambit, apologies for that. Go ahead if you've been able to follow the discussion. The students who support Rohith and Kanhaiya are saying, why does the university have to be in shutdown? K. Kavita of the TRS is saying, why did the centre take a decision to bring back a controversial vice chancellor at this moment?
Barkha, I could not follow the debate as yet because there were some technical problems, as you are saying. But the question that you have asked me as far as why the government is taking any action, since we have the member of parliament of the TRS, I think as far as the law and order situation within the campus and outside the campus is concerned, she is the one who is answerable because the police in that state does not belong to the central government. Law and order is a state subject. As far as Rohith and Kanhaiya are concerned, let me very outrightly say it. I mean, this is what I was going through Ambedkar's life, and this is what Ambedkar ji had to say when certain Dalit youth students were supporting the Razakars of the Hyderabad after independence. This is what B.R. Ambedkar had to say. Hyderabad state's scheduled caste must not support the Nizam or the Ittihad ul Musalman under any circumstance. No scheduled caste member should join hands with the anti-India forces, bringing disrepute to their castes. So naturally, when there are slogans like Afzal hum sharminda hai, tere qatil zinda hai,
but Kanhaiya is not responsible for those slogans.
Har ghar se Yaqub niklega.
But Sambit.
Naturally, we should try to see to it that we do not make these issues crop up in front of India.
Sambit, I'll get the panel to respond to that. But since we've got you late, let me ask you another question. There is no evidence to suggest that Kanhaiya was responsible for those Afzal Guru slogans. One of your union ministers even called Rohith and friends anti-national. You tried to put the whole Yaqub Memon issue on them. This is a poor young man who was driven to suicide. Should the BJP at this moment not be showing empathy? And politically, how do you respond to the young student Firdaus who says that the university is in lockdown? Sambit.
No, see, as far as Rohith Vemula is concerned, all my empathy, it is not just our empathy, none other than the Prime Minister himself spoke out to say that wo Hindustan ke lal hai and how pained we all are that a student had to commit suicide. But let me also remind you of the very fact that, well, we should be discussing these pertinent issues. There have been 10 suicides within the same Hyderabad University campus in the last 9 to 10 years. But to politicize a suicide, and that too beyond the boundaries, that is absolutely wrong. In fact, Rohith, we should respect Rohith's sentiment. We should read out Rohith's suicide letter where he says that no one is responsible for my suicide. Despite that, rewriting his suicide note in a manner in which we'll get some political brownie points is what we are, it's appalling, is what we are challenging. Why playing politics on someone's death? Let us have some discourse with sense as to how we can improve the situation of scheduled caste, scheduled tribe people across the country, across all universities.
So you're basically saying Kanhaiya is an anti-national and
as far as Kanhaiya is concerned. Just a second.
Let Kavita come in. Let Kavita come in. Then
Barkha, 10 seconds. 10 more seconds and I will pass on the mic to Kavita ji. Kavita ji, just 10 more seconds. Kavita ji. Kavitaji, just 10 more seconds because I had to answer the other part of Barka's question, and then you can please take on the mic. Number one, as far as Kanhaiya is concerned, saying that Kanhaiya was not associated with any kind of sloganeering. Barka, remember, I and you were present on the debate the day Kanhaiya was granted the bail, and you know, who better than you knows what was written in the bail. He was compared with an infection, and the judge goes ahead to say that, well, there are surgeries also which should be done, but I at present think that conservative method is better to bring him
but
to the
the judge
mainstream.
also said
You
that
know,
that was
I'm
not a
quoting
statement
verbatim.
of guilt or innocence of Kanhaiya. But let's look at the
No, no,
larger
no.
question. The larger question is this university politics that are going national. Which party should be worried and why? Kavita, go ahead.
Yeah. My specific question to Sambit Patraji is only this. December 18th, Rohith Vemula writes to the VC, specifically stating his, which shows his state of mind, and it was not very good. The VC does not respond. Nobody from the college administration, university administration responds, and the VC has been called insensitive by the very HRD ministry panel which came in to inquire, the fact-finding committee. My simple question is, why should we send the same VC here? This is not about national politics. This is not about scoring political points. Nothing. A very specific question. During the time of exams, why does the HRD has to do this right now, and what kind of message are you trying to send to the students there?
Samit, go ahead. Respond to that, then I'll get in the others.
Exactly.
Our government
Let
is
me be very
ready to discuss
specific.
with the central government and certainly act on it.
No, let me be very specific on this question. I mean, there is a judicial inquiry going on. Surely, if the judicial inquiry indicts anyone, he or she will have to face the axe. So let's please wait, for God's sake, for the report of the judicial inquiry to come in. And before that, saying that the government is not acting would be absolutely wrong. And remember, Hanumantappaji, who is the member of parliament of the Congress party, we have, just a second, we have the member of, we have the representative of the Congress over here as well. Hanumantappaji wrote 6 letters to the HRD ministry saying that the previous vice chancellor was embroiled in all kind of corruptions and wrongdoing. During his tenure, there were...
I'll allow Madhu
there is
to
an
come in there,
FIR
but
on
Sambit, the
Vice
point
Chancellor.
simply is, why did you have to bring in the
Sambit.
Vice Chancellor at this moment? We look at the previous Vice Chancellors later. Why did you have to bring in a Vice Chancellor to whom Rohith in his last letter spoke about how Donald Trump will look like a Lilliput in front of you? And he also said, give poison or a rope to Dalit students. This was his letter to the Vice Chancellor Sambit on the 18th of December 2015. So the question being asked is, why did this VC have to be brought back at this time? Madhu Gaudioski, go ahead.
Quick facts here, Barka. The suspension of Rohith and the other 4 students were unjustified. The affidavit of the police commissioner, then the committee appointed post Rohith suicide by the HRD ministry found that the university authorities' high-handedness and their insensitivity to dealing with the Rohith's case, which clearly establishes they've stopped his stipend, which has been released 2 days ago. Here, there is this SC/ST atrocity case on Rohith, on the Vice Chancellor along with the other ministers. Why the state police high-handedness here, inaction at that point?
Yeah.
Now, yesterday, without state police until now, they have not taken any action on the complaint on FIR registered against the Vice Chancellor.
You're blaming,
He
is
suddenly
that your question to
shows up
Kavita?
here.
Is that your question, Madhu, to Kavita?
No.
You're blaming the state government as well.
I'll come to Kavita. Kavita MP quick to respond, demanded arrest and action on Dattatreya and other minister. Her Jagruti went and protested in front of Dattatreya for his involvement in abetting suicide of Rohith. Here Mr. Pai conveniently speaking lies. Mr. Kanhaiya was not even there in Hyderabad. The incident happened.
What's your question
Quickly
to
see
the state
facts here.
government?
The so-called
there
vandalism.
today, Madhu,
The
please.
vandalism,
Madhu, please
so-called
stop
vandalism
misleading
happened at
people. Madhu, you were there
11:20,
today. The event
11:15 in the
happened
morning.
yesterday, okay?
11:15 in the Mr.
came
Pai,
today,
I know
please.
you very well. Please, why don't you keep? Why don't
Yeah,
you listen?
Mr.
Have patience
Madhu,
to
please
listen.
don't mislead
You
the
are
dialogue.
conveniently
Mr.
quoting
Madhu,
facts and
please
lies.
don't mislead.
Mr. Pai, I know you
I'm
well.
not. I'm
Please
quoting
have
facts.
the
You
patience to
don't
listen.
mislead everybody.
You are speaking lies. Unfortunately, speaking lies. Because
You are
the
telling lies,
so-called
Madhu.
vandalism
You are
of
perpetuate.
VC
Don't
laws.
come here and
VC
tell lies
laws
on national
happened at
TV.
11:15. This
Kanhaiya
is
has
the
come
newspaper,
today, not
national
yesterday.
newspaper, Mr. Pai. Go and read this newspaper, Mr. Pai. The so-called police high-handedness. Look at this girl was dragged and beaten. A girl clothes were torn. Look at
Madhu,
the
I
TV
have
Okay,
condemned
let
the
Mohandas Pai come in and then Firdaus can ask
Have
the
you
question.
condemned the violence?
Okay,
Madhu, have you
Mohandas
condemned
Pai,
the
go
violence?
ahead.
No action.
Please condemn
Mohandas
the
Pai, go
violence.
ahead.
Why-
Mohandas
Mr.
Pai,
you
one minute,
requested
let me get a
when
word in.
you
Let me get a word in
interrupted
now.
pleading.
Let me get a word in. Mohandas
Mr.
Pai,
Pai,
1 minute, Madhu.
first of all.
1 minute. Madhu, 1 minute. Mr. Pai, the truth seems to be as usual somewhere in the middle. Yes, the VC was ghered out for a few hours, undoubtedly. Yes, there has been
totally
vandalism. But yes, students have also
Yes.
been mercilessly beaten in police lathis. And the fact is, in all circumstances, we should avoid having
That's
police
in the
on
evening,
campus.
Barka. That's in the evening, 4 o'clock, when students
Mr.
were
Pai, Mr.
peacefully
Pai and then
protesting.
Firdaus.
Barka.
Mr. Pai, go ahead.
Barka,
Yes.
Barka, student vandalism and violence is not acceptable and should be condemned. Police brutality on the students, dragging them by the hair is not acceptable. The state government should have an inquiry why the students were brutalized. And Kanhaiya has come today, that's what I hear. Not yesterday when all this brutality took place. Police have been brutal.
You
They
said
should not
he
be.
encouraged
If Madhu
violence.
only talks
He
about the police,
instigated
not about
violence,
the
you said.
student vandalism.
How can you say that
He's
he
taking
instigated
sides and
violence
playing
yesterday
politics.
when he was not
And
even
Madhu
there?
should not play politics. Madhu should stick to facts and
Nobody-
condemn the student
you should
vandalism and
have some
violence,
human feelings,
condemn the
Mr.
police
Pai.
brutality
Why
also
Mr. Rohith
in the
was
same
committed
voice,
suicide?
so that there
Why
is
was
a...
he forced to commit suicide?
What is that?
You should have some human
That's a
feelings,
different
Mr.
issue. We're not
Pai,
debating
not
that today.
politics
Please.
here.
Okay,
Have
let's-
some human feelings.
Madhu, we are not debating Rohith's suicide today, Madhu. We are debating the student brutality and the police
The whole
action.
violence which
If you
you're
want a
talking
separate
about
So
debate
let me
about
bring
Rohith,
in,
it's because
let
of
me
that
bring in
debate.
Rohith's
Don't
friend
mix
Firdaus.
everything else.
Okay,
What
let
was
me
the
bring
root
in,
cause,
since the
Mr. Pai?
focus is on
Don't
the
mix about
students.
Rohith's
Since the
murder
focus
thing
is
here.
on the
Suicide
students,
here.
let me bring in Firdaus. Firdaus, very sharply, what the question being asked is, you are talking about how the students were beaten up, and we all saw those pictures. In fact, we're going to bring them up in a moment.
Yes.
But we also have pictures of the vandalism. Who do you believe is responsible for the vandalism that took place on the campus? And do you believe that that is justified? Is that also in the spirit of democracy?
Any kind of violence does violate democratic principles of the society. That is what we believe. That is what our struggle believes. That is what, when we raise the slogans of Jai Bhim, we believe in that. We have been protesting democratically for more than 2 months now. Whenever people are bringing up this issue of vandalism, which is highly contestable, nobody is speaking about the fact that for 2 months we have been protesting democratically. For a recent, after Professor Apparao went on leave, Professor Bipin Srivastava took over, who was the EC member who is implicated in the case.
Yeah.
Then he also went on leave, and the next VC that came was Professor Periyaswamy. Once Professor Periyaswamy took charge, the protests were stalled. We let the administration run properly. The classes were going on. We were attending the classes. We are, after all, here to study.
Yeah.
We
But should
were doing our
you-
work while constantly demanding justice for Rohith. But once Professor Apparao comes and takes charge very secretly, very conspicuously, the classes are suspended for 4 days.
What would be your
There
question?
is an official notice which says,
Yes. What would be your
20,
question to
so-
the BJP? Firdaus, what would be your question to Sambit
my
Patra of the
question
BJP?
is, why
Yes.
is it that my question is, when the matter is sub judice, when a judicial inquiry is going on, why is Professor Apparao being instated back into the campus where he can trample with the evidences? It presents a position, it presents a situation of conflict of interest where he is one of the prime accused. Why is it that
Sambit, go ahead. Let
all
Sambit
the people
respond
who
to
have been
that.
accused,
Let Sambit
all the
Patra take
people
that
who have been
question.
accused.
Sambit, there is a sense that the central government is being blamed by the TRS, it's being blamed by the students, brought in this vice chancellor for no good reason at this point. When you know the backstory, when you know the history of what
two
the
things.
students feel about him.
Two things. I mean, 3 points have arisen over here. One, the vandalism. The second part is reinstallation, the so-called reinstallation of the Vice Chancellor. As far as the vandalism is concerned, I was listening to what the spokesperson from the university had to say. She said that for 2 long months, they were quite democratic in their protests, but finally they gave way to vandalism because they did not get
Sorry,
any result
I did not say
out
that.
of 2
I
months
never
of
said that
democratic.
we gave way to vandalism.
That's what happened.
We are
So,
I started
so,
by
so
saying
no
that
one
we
did the
believe in
vandalism, but
democratic
yet there was
principles as
vandalism.
struggle.
Should I understand it that way?
The ABVP students were officially invited by the Vice Chancellor inside the VC lodge.
So what do you mean
There
to
is
say?
a
It is the
written
ABVP
account of
students who
that.
vandalized the
So,
property?
Sir, I want to ask you, were you
Possible?
there in the university
Possible,
at
yes.
that time?
There's a task
Of-
sheet in front of
Madhu,
You were there in the
Madhu, don't
university,
feel
what
that the viewers
evidence
are
do you
fools,
have
Madhu.
that who did the
Somewhere
Madhu,
there is a
Madhu,
task
please,
sheet
Madhu,
being
please
reduced to
don't.
vandalism.
Madhu,
That's
viewers
somewhere.
have
More
more
important
intelligence
question
than
is about
Rahul
Rohith's
Gandhi.
death, where the
Don't
more
think that
important
viewers
question
would
is
not
about the
understand. So
culprit,
please,
not
I
Mr.
have made my
Patra.
point. Let me come to the next
Mr.
point.
Patra.
I have already made my point. Mr. Madhu, please don't interject in others
Okay,
are
okay,
speaking. The
together.
viewers are more intelligent
Okay, okay,
than
that's
Rahul Gandhi.
it.
They wouldn't
Okay,
understand.
Sambit, please
Anyways.
answer the question. I'm
Why
taking
those
last
things
comments
are
from
not
all of
yes.
you now.
Why is it
I'm
being
taking
raised?
last
Yes.
comments now. Sambit Patra, the question
yes.
simply,
Who are protesting
answer the young
democratically
woman's
for social
question.
justice?
Why was the Vice Chancellor brought
I'm
back?
answering that. Allow me.
Yeah, please
Allow me,
answer.
allow me.
Please answer.
Barkha, I am sure that everyone, including you on the panel, would agree to the fact that let's have resolve and faith in the judicial commission that has been established to look into this whole matter. As far as I know, though I do not know the details of the matter, but as far as I know, and you can enlighten me if you know anything more, was the VC or any VC as of now was suspended by the Judicial Commission of Inquiry? If there were no suspensions, then there is no question of reinstallation. Was it a vacation? Was it a leave? Was it a suspension? Or was it a termination? I think please enlighten me if there was a termination or
Okay,
there
I'm
was
out
a
of time.
suspension,
I'm
to
out
which
of
naturally
time.
your question stands.
I'm out of time. I'll allow everybody 15 seconds of closing remarks. 15 seconds, everybody gets 15 seconds. Mohandas Pai, your last word.
Burqa, violence is unacceptable. Students have a right to protest. Police should not brutalize students, drag them by the hair and resort to violence. Police brutality in this country should be stopped. And outsiders should not interfere in the affairs of a university, like Kanhaiya coming there today and standing outside wanting to go there. These are not acceptable. Let students agitate. Let the matter be resolved peacefully.
Okay, Kavita, 15 seconds.
Central government has to be more sensitive towards placing a new VC, and they have to make sure that the Vice Chancellor who is there is acceptable by the student, if not only by one section, but in general should have a neutral image. That is one. Two, the police inquiry is already on to answer Madhuji's question. And when the Judicial Commission is on, I do not believe that the same Vice Chancellor should be placed, because he can very well trample with the evidences.
Okay.
And further police brutalities, we've been very patient, and we will certainly ask our police to be much more patient with the students in future as well.
Okay, Madhu, last word.
The HRD Ministry panel, Joint Secretary panel, accused Vice Chancellor and other committee members. When he is accused and he has been asked to leave in January 21st, why is he brought back? Why the state government, the police is colluded with the Vice Chancellor and the central government, and is police in action on the FIR on SC/ST atrocity case, but they're quick on responding to beating up the students, and I wish Ms. Kavita was
We are
very
not.
sympathetic
I've
to the
answered
student
the
cause.
question. We
Let
are
us
not.
take on the police in action.
We only
let
act
push
on the
pressure
request
in
of the
action.
VC, otherwise we do
Kavita,
not
please
enter
see
the
the
campus.
pictures how the women students were beaten up. Why the women students were beaten up. Police has given a clean
Okay,
sheet to
Firdaus-
the
Firdaus-
Rohith and others. They have not committed a crime.
Firdaus, last word, and then Sambit wraps it up for us. Firdaus, very quick, 15 seconds.
Barkha, I just want to address 2 points to you. One thing is, please, why is it that your own reporters are not being allowed inside the university? We are doing this session outside the university. The university is in a complete blockout.
Yeah.
The students are being cut off.
Yes.
So that is something to be very seriously thought about. And I also want to request that let us not deviate from the basic questions that are about the rights of the students, that are about having discrimination-free campuses, that are about having more equal campuses. This is a pattern that we are seeing. Students are being brutalized. It's a pattern. This is not something happening for the first time. So please let us not deviate from the fundamental questions.
Okay, Sambit, very quickly, your last 20 seconds.
Yes, Barkha, I believe we should not generalize the whole thing as student versus the government. I firmly believe that there is a fringe within the students group in few universities which are being addressed. But yes, as Mr. Pai said, no place for any kind of police brutality, even if the students are protesting in a wrong way, no place for brutality. I think the state government should apologize and the state government should look into the issue. Thirdly, and very quickly, Afridi, one of the celebrated Pakistani cricketers, today said that he was cheered by the Kashmiris in this country. We should learn lessons that from our own misgivings, because we are creating heroes out of people who have supported that.
You make all the mistakes and state government apologizes. I'm sorry,
Let me complete. I was not
Certainly
interjecting
not
anyone,
the right
madam. I was not interjecting anyone.
Okay, I have to
Please
leave it there,
listen to me.
Sambit. As far as Kashmir is concerned, it's a whole different discussion.
10 seconds. Let me complete.
Okay, quickly,
Let me
10
complete.
seconds. Literally 10 seconds.
Well, Please, for God's sake, let's not make heroes out of people who say that Indian army is a rapist army, because then the last laugh would be Pakistan's laugh. Remember this, my friends.
Okay, now Pakistan and Kashmir are a very different discussion, Sambit, because you're at a critical point of an alliance
Why
with
did
the
you attend
PDP,
with the separatists?
which
Why
has
you
a
having
different
biryani with
issue
the
of
separatists in Pakistan Day today?
Yes, Pakistan Day and Mr.
is
Javadekar
not
I'll
attended
answer
that.
that. Give me some
Different discussion.
Give me some time.
We'll leave it there. Different discussion. We'll call you back tomorrow.
But
We'll
I-
call you
I-
back
I-
tomorrow
I-
to discuss that. Thanking everybody
There is
here.
always
Thanking
a
for
deviation
those.
from the basic questions.
Yeah, let's leave the Pakistan policy and the PDP alliance for another day. Mohandas Pai, Sambit Patra, Madhu Firdos, and K. Kavita. Thank you so much for joining us on the buck stops here. Moving on now to our other big story. A reporter arrested in Chhattisgarh's Bastar district. You can see his pictures on the screen. Prabhat Singh, for a WhatsApp post that was seen to be derisive about a police officer. However, activists and journalists in the area say that for a long time, basically anybody who's critical of the establishment, especially the Inspector General of Police of Bastar, is treated with intimidation and shown the high hand of the state. Is Chhattisgarh literally becoming a police state? Prabhat Singh is the third journalist in 6 months to have been held in this fashion. Previously, activists and lawyers working in the area have in fact been forced out, receiving threats, some even having their houses stoned. Let's introduce our guests on this program today as we ask whether Chhattisgarh is becoming a police state in the literal and metaphorical sense. Shalini Gera, a lawyer who used to work on the ground in Jagdalpur in the area, was in fact forced to leave. We'll hear from her why in just a moment. My colleague Sudhir Ranjan Sen is also with us in the studio. We'll be hearing from Noel Swaranjit Sen, police officer, former DGP Andhra Pradesh, in just a moment from now, as well as Malini Subramaniam, another journalist who used to report there but had to leave. Shalini, let me start by asking you, how do you see this latest arrest? What's really ironical is that Prabhat too had complained about being defamed on WhatsApp forums. All of us have seen slander, abuse on WhatsApp forums. Nobody took any action on his complaint, but he was picked up for abusing a police officer, say the police. As somebody who was forced to leave that area yourself, how do you see what's happening there?
Well, Barkha, I would just say that this is a continuation of what we've been seeing in the past few months. As you yourself pointed out, we were forced out. We were raising questions which were uncomfortable for the police about fake encounters, about mass sexual violence. Prabhat was documenting those stories. He had visited those villages where fake encounters had taken place. Malini had done that. And basically anybody who's raising these questions, who's questioning what the police strategy in these areas is when it comes to the anti-Naxal operations, is being either silenced by just general intimidation and threats, or is being forced out of the area, or, as we see in the case of these journalists, being put into jails. So this is a continuation of a trend that we have seen there in the past several months. And the story is just not of intimidation of human rights defenders, of people, but actually what is happening in the villages. The level of violence has increased tremendously in the villages, and that is the story that the authorities do not want coming out of that area.
And Shalini, why is the Inspector General at the heart of this storm? We did try to get a response from him, but he, we had no luck getting a response from him. Why is the Inspector General so powerful? It's unusual for a police officer to be able to make the kind of statements he's made about the media. He's in fact brazenly and openly said that he'll only talk to nationalist journalists or journalists who ride with him in his helicopters.
That is exactly correct. Not only about the media, he's made really slanderous statements about other people, including Soni Sori, whom he called a Bazaru woman. Why he has this power is something that baffles all of us, because it's clearly beyond the scope of one IG to be working over there. We also think that all the power that he has, the impunity that he has definitely been given to him by the state apparatus, whether it's the state government or it's the central government, we can only conjecture.
Yeah.
He himself says that he's been put there by Modi ji himself. We don't know how true that is. We can only conjecture, but definitely he has impunity that is unsurpassed in this area.
In fact, the Bastar Member of Parliament, Dinesh Kashyap, is going to be with us in a moment from now, and we'll put that question to him, because you're basically saying he has impunity because of political patronage. Sudhi, what's actually going on the ground? We've seen the Salva Judum controversy in the past. We now have another sort of anti-Maoist forum that has come up that positions itself as crusading against the Maoists, but is believed to be extremely close to the police, is also seen as vigilante in nature. It is also seen that anybody who criticizes their activities is now being facing this face of the state, this brutal face of the state.
Well, yes, I mean, if you look at the Ekta Manch that has come up, activists have been saying this, pointing this out, journalists have been pointing this out, that it is Salva Judum Part 2. The only difference being that
But Salva Judum was armed. We do not have,
in this case, it is not armed.
Yes.
I mean, you've had people like these journalists from Scroll who is going to join you, being threatened out there, and I had to leave. There are several other people who have left Chhattisgarh or being forced to leave Chhattisgarh. Now, the issue is, it's a lot of grays out there, because if you look at how journalists operate, journalists are also not very well paid. Therefore, they lean on the police. Therefore, they get into contracting business. Therefore, they lean on the police.
And often their employers, as happened with Prabhat, will suddenly break the contract they have. They're temporary employees, they're stringers in many cases.
Exactly.
There's a greater vulnerability.
So huge vulnerability. I mean, you've covered Kashmir inside out during the bad days. So in any kind of a conflict situation, the journalist is left most vulnerable. And in this case, there is no protection. And moreover, they're not proper employees. And then they get mixed up with the cops, then they get mixed up with the police. And as a result of which you have this mishmash, and which is why the police can, with impunity, go after them.
I'm going to go across to Malini and Mr. Swaranjit said in a moment from now. But Shalini, if I can ask you, what sort of threats did you receive, and when was that moment when you decided that it was no longer safe for you to work in that area?
We have been receiving threats from the last year. First, there were just anonymous police complaints against us. They were frivolous complaints, but the police diligently followed up on them and harassed us. Then there was the Bastar, we were working in the Bastar district courts, but the Bar Association, clearly egged on by the police, passed resolutions against us saying that we could not practice in those courts. We challenged those resolutions in the Bar Council and stuck on and worked over there. Then there was a Samajik Ekta Manch, again a vigilante group created over there that took out press conferences against us and basically carried on a campaign of vilification, called us all kinds of names, and conducted rallies against us and burnt our effigies in the marketplace. We stuck out that even, but eventually our landlord was called to the police station in the middle of the night, kept there for several hours. He's a driver by profession. His car was impounded and he was told that he will not get his car back till he evicts us. And then it was clear to us that it's not just that we have to be brave, but we're actually putting people who are close to us at risk. And that is when we decided that we had to move out.
Okay.
Because it's not just a question of
it's
our
not just
safety,
endangering yourself, but endangering other people, and that's a responsibility nobody wants to take. Absolutely. Let me just bring in Dinesh Kashyap. He is the BJP member of Parliament from Bastar. Dinesh जी, आज जिस तरह से एक पत्रकार को अरेस्ट किया गया है, कहा गया है कि उन्होंने एक पुलिस अफसर के बारे में ठीक लैंग्वेज नहीं इस्तेमाल की गई, लेकिन जो हमारे कार्यक्रम में एक्टिविस्ट हैं, जो जर्नलिस्ट हैं, वो कहना चाहते हैं कि वहाँ के जो आपके इंस्पेक्टर जनरल हैं, वो आपके पार्टी के, आपके मुख्यमंत्री के इतने करीब है कि वो किसी से डरते ही नहीं, और जो भी पत्रकार उनको क्रिटिसाइज करे, जैसे इस केस में प्रभात सिंह ने सोनी सोरी पर कहानियां की, सोनी सोरी पर भी हमला हुआ, वो अपने आप को इस तरह से जेल में पाते हैं या उनको धमकियां दी जाती हैं. आप क्या बोलेंगे?
देखिए, मेरी जानकारी में जो है, प्रभात सिंह जो है ना, अभी आज की तारीख में जो पत्रकार का जो रजिस्ट्रेशन है उसमें उनका नाम नहीं है, और उनके ऊपर 3-4 मामले, उनकी पत्नी ने दहेज प्रताड़ना का आरोप लगाया है, 420 का केस उनके ऊपर है, और सोशल मीडिया में उन्होंने जो ना गलत कमेंट्स किया है, और एक पत्रकार ने बीजापुर के उनके खिलाफ FIR दर्ज करवाया है, और जगदलपुर न्यायालय ने उनको दोषी करार देते हुए जेल भेजा है.
लेकिन आप कह रहे हैं कि उन्होंने, एक पत्रकार ने उनकी कंप्लेंट की, लेकिन उन्होंने खुद भी, दिनेश जी, एक अपनी कंप्लेंट रखी और उन्होंने कहा कि उनके बारे में भी तरह तरह की बदतमीज और वाहियात चीज़ें कही जा रही थी व्हाट्सएप फोरम में. पुलिस ने उनकी कंप्लेंट पे तो कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया. मेरे प्रोग्राम में शालिनी गेरा है, वो जगदलपुर में वकील का काम करती थी, उनको भी धमकी देके निकाला गया, उनकी एफिजीज जलाई गई. पत्रकार, एक्टिविस्ट, वकील सब कह रहे हैं कि IG जो आपके हैं, ही इज अ लॉ अनटू हिमसेल्फ.
नहीं, देखिए, पुलिस अपनी काम कर रही है और अच्छा काम कर रही है. कुछ लोग जो है ना गलत तरीके से काम करते हैं, ऐसे पत्रकार लोग जो है ना हो सकते हैं, मैं नहीं बोल सकता, लेकिन जो है ना जो गलत करते हैं उनको जो है ना।
सर पर सरकार तो नहीं तय करेगी कि हम लोग गलत काम करते हैं या सही, ये तो हमारे एम्प्लॉयर्स, हमारी कम्युनिटी तय करेगी। आप लोग तो नहीं तय करेंगे हमारे लिए कि हमारा काम सही है कि गलत?
नहीं, हम नहीं तय करेंगे, वो तो न्यायालय तय करेगा ना क्या है मामला।
सुधीर रंजन सेन आपसे एक सवाल पूछना चाहते हैं मेरे कॉलीग। सुधी, गो अहेड।
दिनेश जी नमस्ते, सुधीर रंजन बोल रहा हूँ। आपसे पहले बस्तर में बहुत बार मुलाकात हो चुकी है। मुझे आपसे एक ही सवाल है, आप ये कह सकते हैं कि कल्लूरी साहब के खिलाफ कभी कंप्लेंट नहीं आई है इसके पहले, और कंप्लेंट आने के बाद आप लोग की क्या कार्रवाई हुई है और किस कारण से उनको वापस लाया गया? क्योंकि उनको 2008 में वहीं से निकाला गया था क्योंकि उनके खिलाफ बड़ा सीरियस एलिगेशंस था।
देखिए, नक्सली ऑपरेशन में जिस तरह से बस्तर में जो है ना शांति कायम हो रहा है और जो है ना नक्सलियों को खिलाफ भी दबाव इतना बना हुआ है, जिससे आम लोगों में जो राहत मिल रही है और विकास कार्य जो है ना।
नहीं, आप मेरा सवाल का जवाब नहीं दे रहे हैं दिनेश जी। अब मेरा सवाल बड़ा सीधा है, कल्लूरी साहब के खिलाफ कंप्लेंट्स आप लोगों के पास आई थी, आई
है
तो,
कि नहीं आई,
और उसका हुआ क्या? उसका कैसे इन्वेस्टिगेशन हुआ?
कंप्लेंट हमारे पास नहीं आया है।
नहीं आया। Okay, stay with us, Dinesh ji. Malini Subramaniam is a journalist who had to also leave because of threats. We heard a chilling account from Shalini Gera about effigies being burnt of her and her colleagues. Malini, what happened with you? एक मिनट दिनेश जी, I want to bring in Malini. Malini, go ahead. Let's bring in Dinesh ji. आप दूसरे की बातें भी सुन लीजिए. Malini, please go ahead.
First of all I want to say is that it's strange and it's really weird that as a journalist, when I should be actually covering what's happening in Bastar, I'm sitting here in a studio talking about myself. What happened to me is, ever since I began reporting, it's been a year that I've been writing for Scroll, and from January onwards, threats began to mount on me. I was being questioned by a vigilant group called Samajik Ekta Manch, about whom I have never written. They came and started asking me कि आप ऐसे क्यों लिखती हैं जिससे बस्तर की पुलिस की छवि खराब हो रही है? Well, and that was later on followed by visits by police asking me where I live, how do I work, and why do I work, and why do I write certain things. And in this manner, the kind of pressure that was mounted on me, which ultimately resulted in destroying or throwing stones inside my house and getting my landlord to evict me, and also pressurizing my domestic worker, keeping her for over 11 hours in the police thana, almost to build pressure on me so that I leave this place. That was the kind of pressure that was mounted on me, and all because the fact that I was bringing out news that the Bastar police did not want me to report about.
And you've got a very senior police officer sitting right next to you, Mr. Swaranjit Singh. The fact is that this Inspector General Kalluri seen to enjoy political patronage at the highest level. This is really shocking. Shalini Gera talking about her landlord evicting her, Malini having the same account, a journalist arrested today for an abuse. Okay, let's say he abused a police officer on a WhatsApp post. We've had lawyers of Patiala House threatening violence on their WhatsApp forums, openly boasting about it. Nobody went and picked them up. Mr. Sen, isn't this IG giving the police a bad name?
Well, you see, you mentioned that he enjoyed the confidence of...
I'm saying that's what the people working in the area say.
Yeah. Well, supposing he is enjoying the confidence, he has still no right to use extrajudicial measures to sort out the problem.
Yes.
You see, such was the impression when I was DGP of the state. People said that I enjoyed the confidence of the Chief Minister.
Yes.
And I feel it would have been correct. But had I stepped out of line, the Chief Minister himself would have taken me to task. So, ultimately it boils down to the political will.
I agree with you, and I hope Dinesh Kashyap is listening. Yes.
Yeah, if the political will is going to allow the police to use extrajudicial methods of dealing with these problems, then certainly down the line it will have a rippling effect.
So, Mr.
Now,
Sen,
I do not know much about...
your advice is that it's in the end something that the government has to take cognizance of, the Chhattisgarh government.
Absolutely. I think the police everywhere is being misused by every government,
Yeah.
and they are the people who are getting all the flack from the media, from the judiciary, and from the people. It is very unfair.
Let me get Malini
I
in on
don't
that.
think.
Yeah, that's an important point you make, that in the end it's the political accountability, not even the police. The buck doesn't stop with the police. Malini, would you agree with that?
Absolutely, I do. But what also needs to be understood is that often the police doesn't do things directly. In this situation, what they had done, like they would pick up the journalists, in the recent case Prabhat, and a whole lot of other people. They picked them up on some WhatsApp exchange that they've had. In my case, what they did is that they put in the front a Samajik Ekta Manch which they have created.
Yeah.
So the police doesn't come right in front of you. It's much later that they start, my harassment was about, how long have you been living here, who's your landlord, what you have been doing, rather than asking directly about it's only when the IG and the SP visited my home and then they started making very direct comments about, you may
It's much
report,
more insidious.
but don't get into
It's much
you
more
don't
insidious.
get into too much of details.
Yes, well, these are
Yes,
chilling
yes.
accounts we've heard from all of you. We'll have to leave it there. The Member of Parliament has heard all of you, and I do think that it requires a political intervention. It is extraordinary that an Inspector General of Police is able to openly say, even at press conferences, that any journalist who's critical of him is somebody he doesn't need to talk to. That is a police state, if ever there was one. All of you have done extraordinary work on the ground, and I think Swaranjit Sen's words, Dinesh ji, I hope you're listening to them. This needs political intervention. Shalini Gera, Malini, Swaranjit Sen, Sudhir Ranjan, thank you so much for joining us on the Buck Stops here. We leave it there. See you tomorrow night at 9 p.m.